Hello, welcome to the Dancing Oracle with Najia. I have an amazing guest on tonight. She's a wonderful psychic medium. She is gifted in all the clairs, and she is the owner of a wonderful New Age bookshop that is full of psychics, and they have psychic festivals and crystals and everything you would ever want for your spiritual growth. I'm introducing the lovely Carol Cook. Hi, Carol. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. This is an absolute surprise and pleasure. Thank you.
This is a surprise. We just cooked this up. Just cooked this up with Carol Cook. Carol, we have had so many amazing conversations. Um,
Yes.
I just got to know her a few months ago when she became the owner of the store, and I'm one of the psychic mediums at her store, even though we're on opposite ends of the country. And ah, every time I talk to her, it's a gem of a conversation. So I needed to share her with my audience. Carol, can you tell us about your early childhood when you started to realize that you had certain gifts and you wanted to bring them out into the world? How did people react or what happened? What's your earliest memory?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for having me on the show. This is absolutely wonderful and so spontaneous. I love it. Um, when I was little, I've had all of my gifts since I can't even remember really when they started, but the one memory that absolutely stands out is that we I have five brothers or excuse me, a family of one sister and three brothers. I'm the youngest out of five. And in my crib, my parents would push me into the boys' room. And in the middle of the night, the boys would hear me playing in my crib and then push me out into the hallway. So, it was just like I was portable even back then, which is
Right.
kind of funny. But one of the earliest memories that I have is that I was playing in my crib and I looked up at the corner of the room by the door to the hallway, and here was this sparkly light. I can't equate it to anything except like stars, like a big huge star. And pretty soon it manifested into something that I can only describe as a female's face. And then I could hear music with it, and with the music it was like I could hear words. And I was just, so young. I can't even remember how old I was, but I remember listening to it and looking up at it and acknowledging that I understood what it said. And when I say it, I still have no idea what it was, but it was talking to me through frequency, through sounds. And it never dawned on me that science would come so far that frequency is how things are communicated between us and sentient beings, between us and computers, and between us and pieces of scientific equipment. And so it just, as I got older and understanding that, it all made sense. So that was my earliest memory.
Well, and you're in the crib, and I've never heard the story of somebody taking the crib out of different rooms, so I can imagine why your parents did it. You know,
Well,
it sounds like they were very close. We'll just
it,
say it.
well, with the boys sleeping in my brother's room, I guess, I would be, making baby noises or young kid noises, and they would push me out into the hallway, which when I got older, I was so scared to even come out of the bedroom to go down the hallway, say, like I needed to go to the little girl's room. I would be scared to death to walk down the hallway by myself. I would run from the door all the way down to the bathroom. And I never really conquered that fear. And I'm just saying that because to this day, there's people out there that have that fear and don't even know what it's from, but it's probably because they can feel, they may not be able to see, but when they feel things, they're not understanding what they're feeling. And so I'm here to tell you that it's not unusual and not to be so scared about it now. So it is learning to understand what is around you, even with things you cannot see.
I think that's really important because when we're young, we have so many feelers out there, a little baby, toddler, and they have so many different impressions. And while they're the most impressionable, the language isn't developed yet. And then when the language does develop and they start to articulate, um, I grew up in an era in the early 1960s where it was Dr. Spock was a big one. And they would
Yes.
say children are meant to be, my mom kept saying it every time I wanted to tell her about what I saw, and my memory of the other realm. She would be like, children are meant to be seen and not heard, you know? So it kind of shut me down. And you have retained your early childhood memories, which are so important. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this show, as well as other things I do, was because we're all psychic to one degree or another. We are all psychic. We are wired that way. It is the frequency. We are one being and we are all connected. Science can prove it, right? And we do meet in the field together. There is a field surrounding us, and we can merge fields. And if you want to have a little bit more understanding, there's the telepathy tapes. Go look that up on YouTube.
Yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely. Those tapes are important.
so Carol, she was lucky to retain her gifts and develop them. And I just wanted to say to parents out there, really encourage your child to open up and speak. Let it be safe for them to speak about what they're seeing, hearing, and feeling, so that they can fully own their gifts. It's just like an artist or a musician. I mean, we're okay encouraging an artist or musician, and you give them praise, right? But a lot of us aren't okay or make fun of a child having an imaginary friend when that could be a relative who's passed on. So, Carol, can you tell us about a lot of people don't know what clairs are. There will be people tuning in from all over the world who may not know that term, especially if they come from a different country. It may not translate well in the transcript. So, could
Right.
you talk about what the clairs are and some of the prominent clairs that you have?
Well, I won't call out the official name, but I'll describe it. And so, one of the clairs that I have, and that many people have, is sensory with smell,
Okay.
because you can smell things and they're not even around you, which is you may smell cigarette smoke. And you may not realize that that could be Uncle Tom right here. He showed up and he would go through a pack a day or something, or it would be in his clothes. And he's already passed, but you smell the cigarette smoke. You would be like looking around, going, okay, it's fine if it's food. Everybody would be like, oh, where's that barbecue at? But to smell these odd scents or perfume, unless you're, you know, understanding that it's not coming from anything within your own space, that's one of the sensory areas. Another one is to feel pressure on your body. You may not see anybody, but you could actually feel somebody touch your shoulder, somebody play with your hair. And this is what some of the ghost hunters actually talk about when they are on TV, is somebody pulled my hair or I got scratched. And when they are provoking somebody, I would absolutely say that that doesn't happen to everybody. Okay? When you feel somebody put their hand on your hand, that happens. And not to be so alarmed and think that you're crazy, you're not. Another clair is to hear things. And when we're hearing things, I know that when I have a lot of, I don't, lot of higher realm beings around me, people, I call them people, but higher realm beings, uh, I hear a hiss, a really high hiss in my ears. Now, some people actually have what do they call it? Tinnitus, where they hear the high pitch, like it
Yes.
goes, "Ooh," and then it kind of dies out. Well,
Yeah.
other people hear hissing in their ears, and it's not because somebody bad is around them, but that's actually hearing for me of a being, a person that's on the other side, and to kind of they're talking at a different frequency. And so
Mhm.
for me to hear that hiss initially, I know that I have to, I don't know how to say this better, is slow my roll, so to speak, so that I can actually grab that information. And then with as many years as I've heard it, I can tend to translate it. Not everybody can do that, and that's okay, because some people also get what I call is the photo album. They get to see pictures, and I
Yeah.
have that happen during my readings too. And I can, I told some people, I said, this is the way that I view things when I'm in a reading. If I look to my left, they show me pictures from the past. If I look to my right, they show me pictures of the future. If I look to off of my right hand out in front of me, that's the photo album. And off of people's left shoulder, and I don't know why this is, I get to see people crossing over from the other side, or beings, and I can see them, which I can't explain how I see them, but there are people that are out there that don't realize that what they are seeing is actually one of the clairs too. And then to see somebody's aura, which I can see those. It isn't what they print out in books that I can see, those colors, because ever since I was little, I would see different things. So when I see the different colors, it's how I associated those colors to mean to me what it is. When you get a book and it says, well, here's all the colors of your chakra, I'm not going to correct anybody, but if you see a different color for each one of the chakras, you are actually being able to see the colors. And that's what's most important, is even to see something. So I do have to say that there are so many clairs that I would absolutely say that not everything is listed. And you may be able to have um, different sensations that can be considered a different type of clair.
Mhm.
So be open and constructive with what you're feeling and seeing.
Now, when you see, because I also see auras and I can actually see the chakras spinning and things, and it's not like, especially the chakras, it's not like the books, but it's partly what I do and what I'm going to do for you at Angel Heart is teaching people to tune in with their body and do movement with the chakras. So I'll see different things on people when they work with their chakras. It's amazing, like spinning little crystals. But what you said, one of the things is what I feel, because I never really worry about what the auras mean. Like people are like, what does this color mean? I'm like, oh, I'm just enjoying the light show and I'm feeling good. Like I'm very connected to light and I'm in this, I feel uplifted, probably kind of high. So I don't even worry about that. But when I work with chakras, I'm studying people's energy. It's a whole nother thing. But tell me what you feel when you're seeing light, because light is light has a lot of high vibration in it. So tell me what you're feeling when you're seeing light.
Well, this may sound strange to some people who have not experienced this, but when I see light, light sometimes comes with a vibration, which can be uh, looked at as a way of communication. When I see light, it can also be an indicator of the mood of the person. When I see light in a different format, when I'm looking at a plant, even, it kind of glows. And
Mm,
it's like, not that I can go to the nursery at Kmart or wherever this is at, or Walmart, and you look at all the plants. I kind of numb that down,
yeah,
because
sure.
to see everybody that's walking around you and see all the lights around them, and to see all the plants and all of that, it could be very distracting and at times very upsetting, because you see this little plant and it needs some water and you're like, oh my gosh, let's rescue it and take it home. It might be a lot of plants you got in your kitchen then. you know so, but to see the light has so many different meanings. And even at nighttime, to go out and look at the stars and to look to see if we see, different things out there at nighttime, even to see owls flying, they all glow. And
They
it's
all
so
glow.
beautiful. Yeah,
Even
very
trees,
beautiful.
even like it surprises me, like airplanes glow.
Yeah.
Airplanes have aura, and it always surprises me how bright it can be. But there's people in those airplanes, so it makes sense. And I was thinking, what was I going to say to you? Oh my gosh, it just slipped my mind. But I do want to talk about some of your funny stories you told me you did as a kid with these abilities, in your family with the card games. But I wanted to come circle back. Oh, when you were saying when you feel a touch on you or someone playing with your hair or someone pressing here or kissing you. So this never happened to me before until I worked for you because I'm a psychic medium at her store. I'm in Philly. She's in Benicia and near San Francisco, I believe. You're not too far from there. And
Right.
it's only happens about 25-30% of the time, but it threw me for a loop because I think a lot of people that from her store, they have their ancestors and people they've lost. And I would have people like, kissing me, kissing the back of my neck or rubbing my shoulders or different things like that. And I would describe the feeling and they would be like, oh, I just lost, my partner and he did that to me. He would kiss me there, kiss me there. And so that happens a lot, and it kind of throws me because I'm like, whoa, I know. So let me ask you something. When that happens, because I always meant to ask you this, so I'm going to ask you now on YouTube. I meant to ask you on so many other conversations, but I tune into people's spirit guides, angels, and ancestors, basically. And when I get the physical manifestation of touch, versus like the chills, the chills coming up, which would be a spirit guide or angel because the vibration changes.
Mhm.
I- Is that always someone who's passed on the other side when it is a physical touch feeling?
I would have to say it could be a couple of different sources. It could be the family member who has passed on, who has learned how to actually manifest their touch to
Mhm.
you. And it could be also a light being, which could also be called like an angel, or somebody who um, is of the light, that
Mhm.
is making themselves known to you in that way, because they would have to um, almost change dimensions to come into our dimension, and at
Mhm.
that vibration be able to make us have that sensation.
Yeah. The other thing, I know you do this because the other Carol told me that you're the crying Carol, and I'm not an emo I'm not an emotional person typically. I'm, kind of more. I'm passionate, but I'm not like a crying. In fact, I couldn't cry until I was in my 30s. It sounds crazy, but I'm not a crying kind of person. And then when I read for some of your clients, I start wailing, crying. I'm like, and I sometimes scare them and I scare myself, but like someone comes through me and starts crying, like somebody from the other side. So if I'm feeling super emotional or you feel emotional, would you say that's always someone that has from the other side passed on that was a human prior for that client?
I would say what it is, it's not necessarily that human that's coming through or that family member. From what I have gathered from the emotion of how, when I do these readings, it is I am consumed the um, with the emotion of being so full of gratitude.
Mm.
That's what's causing the tears. It is this, they have a certain amount of gratitude that they can communicate, or maybe it's me having that amount of gratitude, feeling that I can actually absorb and hear them and give somebody a message. Sometimes people say, well, that's taking on too much energy.
Mm.
But I know that when I have those emotions, it's almost as a way to nail that authenticity for me. And
Yeah,
everybody's different. Everybody's different. And for me to have that moment is, you know, knowing that what I am getting is real, what I'm seeing is real, and what the person, their acknowledgement as they hear this information, they get chills. They get, somebody who they haven't been able to talk to for years. And this person shows up and I'm, looking, seeing, feeling them, and I can express the message to their family member. It does amount in a whole bunch of gratitude. And so it's almost like I would say, I'm not saying I saw Mother Mary and this is Fatima and I'm, down on my knees crying, but it is that sense of, I can't believe this is happening and I'm honoring it. That's what
yeah,
that is.
yeah. Because when you have these experiences, it makes you say, no matter what goes on in the world, we're okay because we all have that connection to spirit, but
Yes.
because we're so fortunate to be able to use our gifts on a regular basis, it's such a
Mhm.
validation, right? And you feel grateful to like, oh, that connection. It's such a divine union,
Mhm.
And you say, well, this craziness, but I shouldn't worry because
Yeah.
we're all taken care of.
Now,
And
my mom used to say to me, my mom, love her dearly, but she passed away early. And so she would say to me, she goes, I can't feel that you feel. I can't do what you do. And I'm like, I just can understand how I was able to do this. And while it may create confusion with other family members, if somebody were to have this experience, just embrace it, is
yeah,
what I would say. Because it doesn't make you that different. It just makes you uh, more in line with knowing your own emotions and how your energy is working.
it's very important. Well, it's very important. I just feel like everyone to develop their psychic gifts because it is our
Mhm.
connection to spirit. It's our connection to each other. It's connection to our environment. We should be sensitive to our environment. Like some environments are toxic and we don't really want to spend a lot of time in there energetically. We should say, acknowledge like our body's not feeling good. Let's not be around certain situations and people and honor our soul, honor our spirit. Um, but on
I
the other
agree
end,
with you. I
yeah,
agree with you 100% on that.
I
Yes.
think a lot of us discount things in our relationships with people too. We start taking on like their emotions or we act out of character because sometimes we might start taking on what other people are putting out energetically, and it's not really something that we own, but it kind of comes in. Have you ever experienced that? I'm not talking as a psychic, I'm talking like amongst friends or family. It's something that everyone can perhaps relate to. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, you froze. So Carol is frozen in cyberspace right now. So I will talk about it for a little bit longer. If not, we'll have part two if her screen doesn't unfreeze. I'm gonna just, oh, okay. She, so listen, we're gonna talk more about this in part two. And I'm gonna bring her on multiple times. She's such a gift to all of us. I will put the information in the description box down below, how you can get in touch with her. You can check out her store online. You can book a reading with her. You can book a reading with me through the store, as well as book readings with me through my website. Thank you for joining us as till we continue in part two. Thank you.